Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Sub-Lieutenant Zane Philuan. We warmly welcome the family of Private James Williams, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private James Joseph Williams. James Williams was born on the 6th of October 1879 near Yass, New South Wales. He was the only child of William Stephen Williams from Cornwall in England and his wife Pauline. Little is known of his early life. In 1888, he was enrolled as a boarder at St Joseph College in Hunters Hill. By this stage, his family had moved to Surrey Hills. A year later, Williams moved schools to Stanmore Superior Public School. He later went on to work as a commercial traveller. In 1902, James enlisted for service in the Boer War. Sailing from Sydney on the 20th of May 1902, he arrived in Durban after the war had ended. So he enlisted in the South African Constabulary, serving for a little over a year before obtaining a discharge. Information from his family relates that he remained in South Africa for another 5 years, working as a sanitary inspector in Pietersmaritzburg before returning to Australia in 1908. James Williams married Catherine O'Donnell at St Joseph's Catholic Church in Woollahra in March 1912. His first son, James, was born the following year but died in infancy. His second son, Alan, was born in February 1914. At some point, James took up work as a tram driver. James Williams enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in July 1915. He did not leave Australia for active service overseas until the following February. By that time, Kate was pregnant with his third son, Joseph, who would be born the following September but would never meet his father. Private Williams was posted to the 8th Field Ambulance and was the first sent to Egypt, leaving for France within days of his arrival. In April 1916, not long after reaching France, Williams was called to Anzac headquarters and informed that he was to be seconded to the town major Esther. The town major, probably a British officer, was in charge of Esters as a military garrison, directing, billeting, water supply, traffic control, and stores, as units and transformations of the British and Dominion armies moved through. Williams continued to work for over 2 years in the headquarters of his officer in charge of the garrison town. In July 1918, Williams returned to the 8th Australian Field Ambulance. He spent a few weeks in England on leave in August, returning to his unit in early September. In late September, he was directed to act as a stretcher bearer for the 29th Battalion as it took part in the battle and capture of the Heidenberg Line near Bellicourt. On the morning of the 29th of September 1918, the 20th Battalion advanced towards the German line, passing through American troops who had launched the battle earlier. The men struggled to make headway in the confused battle underway under heavy German fire, but eventually managed to advance and join up with the attacking troops on their flanks. Private Williams had a heavy night stretcher bearing. James Williams' mate, Archie Ridgway, was serving as a stretcher bearer with the neighbouring 30th Battalion that night. Williams ran into him as the action died down, and they talked before Williams went to have a sleep in a hole in the side of a trench. At around 3 o'clock the following morning, a German artillery shell landed near where Williams was sleeping, killing him instantly. Ridgway wrote to Catherine saying, "As soon as it broke day, I went across and saw him. He did not appear to be knocked out. He looked just the same as if he was asleep. I did all I could for Jim, and I saw he had the best burial possible under the trying circumstances. It was so unfortunate because we came out of the line the same night, and it was the last time the Australians were in action." Archie added, "I miss Jim very much because we were pals and were always in each other's company for nearly 3 years. Both of James Williams' sons served in the Second World War. Neville, who was born after Williams had left Australia, carried a postcard sent to his father from France 1918. One side of the card read, "To Joseph, Ian, Neville, love Daddy." On the other, Catherine had written, "Bring this home with you. Fond love from Mum." Both sons survived. James Williams is buried in the Bellicourt British Cemetery under the words, "The dearly loved husband of Catherine and father of Alan and Neville." He was 39 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on the right amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private James Williams, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrubber Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We'd like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.